Hello, scholars. This week in math, we're going to keep working with our shapes, but we're going to be splitting them into smaller pieces and talking about that. But before we get started onto the new material with our shapes, I want to review our shapes from before. So I'm going to have the same cards that we made last time and the names, and I want us to go through and just review what the names of our shapes are and what they look like. That's right, this one's the circle, and it's a curved line all the way around. So there's no sides, angles, or vertices because it's just one curved line. Hexagon, yep, a hexagon. And make sure you're saying these names back to me or with me. Hexagon. Let's count how many sides it has to remind ourselves. We're going to start at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A hexagon has how many sides? 6. Good job. All right, next up is a trapezoid with kind of the two leaning sides, and it has 4 sides. This one's a square, also has 4 sides, and this one, all the sides are the same length. Here we have a pentagon. Say it back to me. These are some big words, but y'all are going to be rock stars at saying them. I just know it. So we have a pentagon. Let's count how many sides it has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So a pentagon has 5 sides. All right. Oh, the rectangle. Good job. I'm sure you all know this one, the rectangle. And it has 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. And this one, 2 of them are long, and then 2 are short. That's how we know it's different than a square, because 2 of the sides are going to be long and 2 of the sides are going to be short. And then lastly, we have our triangle with just 3 sides. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. All right, so this week, we're going to be using different shapes. We're mainly going to be looking at the circle, the triangle, and probably the square and rectangles mostly, and we're going to be splitting them into equal parts. So I wanted to look at that word equal just a little bit more. So here I have the word equal. I wrote it up here for us, E-Q-U-A-L. I want you to say the word equal back to me. Say it one more time. Equal. Now I want us to write the word equal up in the air. E-Q-U-A-L. And now write on your leg. I want to make sure that we really know this word. Let's say the word as we write it on our leg. Equal. Equal. Good. I wrote it with you too, so I hope you played along with me. So the word equal means that they're going to be the same. We have used the word equal before. When we write equations, we put an equal sign. See, right here, that's our equal sign. So we're saying that this is the same as this. This is equal to this. So I think we understand what the word equal means. So now we're going to be talking about equal amounts of something. Equal amounts of something. So to get us started with that, I am going to be using just a sheet of paper, a sheet of normal paper, and I want to think about if I can fold this sheet of normal paper into equal parts. So that means when I fold it, the 2 different parts that I fold need to be the same size. So I'm going to fold my paper, and I drew a line where I folded it just to help you all see it since we're on video. So I have a line where I folded it. I'm going to get out my marker to make my line. All right, so I folded it, and now I drew a line over that crease. And let's look at what I folded. So I went I took my piece of paper, I folded it in half so that the edges matched up, and then I opened it up, and I made two equal parts. If I was to cut this and put them on top of each other, they would be the same size. So these are two equal parts. Now, I have another example, and I want you to look at it and think about if it is equal or not. So I took another sheet of paper, folded it, drew a crease down it, and let's look at this sheet. These don't look very equal to me. This one looks a whole lot smaller than this size. So these would not be equal parts. So when we're talking today about putting our shape into 2 equal parts, 3 equal parts, or 4 equal parts, I want us to make sure that we think back to the sheet of paper and making sure that we make an equal line, things being the same size versus not equal. Because let's say that this was a cookie. So I had a cookie and I was going to share it with someone in our class. To be fair, we would want them to be cut in equal parts because you wouldn't want your friend to get the bigger part of the cookie than you. You want to have the same amount. So you're going to make it equal. The same thing if you had 3 friends and we're making this into 3 equal parts, you would want all the parts to be the same. So when we talk about our shapes and you're working on this afterwards, think about each one as being something that you're going to share with someone and you're wanting everybody to get the same amount. Okay guys, so I went ahead and I drew some shapes on our board and I put some lines through them, trying to cut them into equal parts. So if they're equal, we're going to shade in one of the halves. And if it's not equal, then we're going to put an X through it. So let's start first over here at this circle. So if I was to cut this circle on this blue line right here, I would not be cutting it into equal parts because this half is so much smaller than this half. So this is not equal. Those parts are not the same. But let's look at the triangle right here. I drew a line from the top all the way down to the bottom in the middle, making them equal parts. So I'm going to shade in one half of that equal part to show that they are equal. I shaded in one of the halves, leaving another half not shaded. So we said that one was not equal. Here, and we'll write it on top too. So we'll say not equal, and then equal. Okay. Now right here, I have a rectangle. Yep, this one's a rectangle because 2 sides are short and 2 are long. And this blue line right here is where I cut it across, trying to make it equal. But I didn't because this is smaller than this side, and for it to be equal, they need to be the same. Good job. So I'm put a line through it and writing not equal. All right, now we're down here to this square. And I drew a line diagonally across. That's across from one corner to this corner. It's not the same like I drew the others, but these 2 sides look to be the same side. So they're actually equal, even though that shape is cut a little bit differently than we've been cutting them. So that one is also equal. All right, down here we have a smaller little triangle. And yep, you should have noticed that right away. It is not equal. The sides of that I drew over here was so much smaller than this side over here. All right, and then lastly, we have a circle, and I tried my best to get it in the middle, and so we're gonna call this one an equal example and shade in one half. So we have an equal one. So remember, for them to be equal, the sides need to be the same versus over here when they're smaller and bigger, and that one was not equal. Awesome. Okay, friends, so we were rock stars at noticing equal parts with just 2 equal parts. But can we make a shape into more than just 2 equal parts? What if we were trying to split it with our whole table of 3 people? Or maybe the small group table with 6 friends? Or 4 friends? Can we cut a shape or shade a shape or draw lines in a shape, making it into equal parts with more than just 2? Think about it. If you have a cake, you can cut it in more than just 2 pieces and it be equal. Exactly, you can. You can make something that's big into many smaller pieces. So we've mastered doing it into 2, like this one. So we'll write 2 equal parts. 2 equal parts. 1 and 2. Now the next one, how many equal parts do I have there? 1. We have 3 equal parts. We have 3 equal parts, and then down here I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Exactly, I have 4 equal parts. So it is possible to shade a shape and cut a shape into more than just 2 equal parts because all 3 of these are the same. Now we are going to learn some special mathematical terms that we're going to call these equal parts. So when you have 2 of something, when you cut something into 2 equal parts, it is called halves. Say that back to me. Halves, right there, halves. And I'll write it on one of our index cards too so we can flash it up later and practice saying them and saying how many there are. We'll do that in a second. So I would say that this, if I was to shade this area here, I would have shaded 1/2. So those are halves. Now, when you break something into 3 equal parts, it is called thirds. Thirds. Yep, it starts with a TH. Thirds. So if I was to shade just this area over here, I would be shading what's called 1/3 of it. So say third. Good. Now, when we break something into 4 equal parts, it is going to be called fourths. And when I shade one of those equal parts, it's going to be 1/4. So when you have 4 equal parts, it's called fourth, 3 equal parts thirds, and 2 equal parts halves. Good job, guys. All right, guys, so now I wrote our numbers on, or our words on a card, and I'm going to flash it up, and I want you to tell me how many equal parts it means that it's going to have. So let's get started with this one. Fourths. How many equal parts will it have? 4 equal parts. Good job. Next up, thirds. How many equal parts will it have? 3 equal parts. Good job. And then lastly, I have halves or half, and it's going to have 2 equal parts. Awesome. All right. Now, I have a variety of shapes drawn and equal parts drawn on them. So all these are equal parts, and now we're figuring out whether it's split into halves, thirds, or fourths. So be saying it out loud or in your head or writing it down when I show it up there, and then I'm going to say it too so you can check yourself. All right, let's look at this one. 4 equal parts, so it'll be fourths. 1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome. Fourths again, this circle split up into 4 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Mixing it up on you, that's making that too easy. Halves. Yep, there are 2 equal parts, so it's broken into halves. 1, 2. Three equal parts, so it's broken into thirds. Awesome job. Yep, this rectangle is also in thirds. I knew you all would get this easily. This one is going to be halves because there's just 2 equal parts. Yep. And then last one, we broke it into 4 equal parts. Awesome job. All right, friends, I have something to tell you. I made a mistake, and when we were talking about the fourths one, I forgot that it can also be called something else rather than just fourths. Fourths, when you break it into 4 equal parts, can either be called fourths or quarters. So right here, quarters. That also means 4 equal parts when you break something into quarters. So don't forget that because your worksheet has the word quarters instead of fourths. So it has quarters on there, which is 4 equal parts as well. All right, so your assignment this week is in the Google Classroom, and one of the pages has different shapes that's already drawn on there, the different equal parts. And you are to figure out whether that shape is split into halves, thirds, or quarters, which is how many? 4. Good job. So halves, which is 2, thirds, which is 3, and quarters or fourths, which is 4. So the first page in your Google Classroom, you're looking at the picture and figuring out how many it's split in, just like when we looked at these. And then the second page in the Google Classroom has shapes drawn and directions for you to cut that shape, draw on that shape into different sizes. Now, I know most of you are just doing this on a sheet of paper after looking at it on the computer or phone or tablet, so you can just redraw the shape. Like if it has a square, just draw the square on your paper and then mark up that square into the equal parts, at however many equal parts it's asking for. So that's an easy way to do that. Another thing I want to challenge you with is when you're eating your foods, I want you to start thinking about them in their different amounts. Maybe you're going to go share a cookie with your brother or your sister. Think about splitting it and telling them that you're each having a half. Or if you're eating a pizza and you're thinking about how many pieces it's cut into, make sure they're equal and talk about that. Because fractions and equal parts are all around us. So I want you to start noticing that in your everyday life. Remember to send me a text of your work and call or text me if you have any questions about equal parts.